this party.
What's up, dudes and dudettes? Brockstercraft Animations here. Today, I decided to break away from the animation and gameplay adventures and restart my Historic and Defunct series. This series is basically where I talk about places that are historic, later but shut it down. I decided to start off with Houston, Texas' former amusement park, called Six Flags AstroWorld. This park opened back in 1968, and lasted until October 30, 2005. This park, fun fact, was the first to be acquired by the chain. However, the whole history about AstroWorld will be in its own Historic and Defunct episode though. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about AstroWorld's 12 former roller coasters. First is the Serpent. This junior steel coaster was the last mini-mine train built by Aerodynamics. This coaster opened in 1969, a year after the park opened. This coaster's speed of 14 miles per hour was clearly for all ages. When the park closed on October 30, 2005, the entire track was demolished, but the trains were sent to Six Flags over Texas. Next is Swamp Buggy Ride. This coaster was a small 45 feet toboggan coaster built by Chance Rides. It opened in 1970, and lasted for 3 years. It was removed in 1973, and today it's unknown what happened to it. There are some of these models traveling around, and one at Wisconsin's Little America. Next is Excalibur. Believe it or not, when this Aero Development mine train steel coaster first opened in 1972, it was named the Dexter Freebish's Electric Roller Ride. There's even a Texas alternative rock band named after it. In 1981, this coaster's section was repainted brownish red, given a medieval theme and renamed Excalibur. This coaster was removed in 1998, and replaced by Serial Thriller, but we'll get that later. Meanwhile, Excalibur was relocated to Oklahoma City's Frontier City, but was damaged during the dismantling process. It was eventually scrapped. Next is perhaps the sorely missed attraction, the Texas Cyclone. In 1976, the Coney Island/USA section opened in the Maudeville section. The famous Coney Island Cyclone was in danger and almost torn down for an aquarium. And I wanted to buy the Cyclone, but the cost was too high. So they instead built their own mirrored, faster and taller version of the Cyclone. When it opened, it was the #1 wooden coaster. It was sadly demolished. A small section of track. Next is Greezed Lightnin. This coaster opened in 1978 and was a flywheel Schwarzkopf shuttle loop coaster that accelerated guests through a 360-degree vertical loop and go back again. When it closed, it was taken to Lubbock's Joyland Amusement Park. But it wasn't built because of the ground being unstable. It was then taken to Cliffs Amusement Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but still it wasn't built. It was even planned to reopen at New Caney's upcoming Grand Texas, but also ever commenced. As of right now, the only Schwarzkopf shuttle loops in America are Montezuma's Revenge at Knott's Berry Farm and the former Laser Loop from Kennywood that's almost finished at Niagara Amusement Park and Splash World at New York. Next is XLR8. After the failure of the original Bat at Kings Island, Aerohus went back to the drawing board and created XLR8, the first of two of the first successful suspended swinging coasters, with the other being the now defunct Big Bad Wolf at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. The name is pun on the word accelerate, like the Ben 10 one. In Fright Fest 2002, the coaster was nicknamed 8RLX and turned around two of its cars and kept it that way. Also, the coaster's paint color scheme was changed from blackish blue and gray into a brighter teal blue amp, orangish yellow color. The ride was scrapped, and the trains are used on Ninja at Six Flags Magic Mountain. As of today, only 6 of these kinds still exists, including the new Bat at Kings Island. Next is Viper. This steel Schwarzkopf looping star coaster originally was painted sky blue and operated at Six Flags St. Louis in 1981 to 1988 as Jetstream. Then it was relocated to AW, was painted dark green and named Viper in 1989. Much like its cousin Greezed Lightnin, it had a 360-degree vertical shuttle loop, but had more tracks and a green tunnel with a green dragon painted on it. The coaster unfortunately was scrapped. But trains were sent to over Georgia. You have to go to Frontier City and ride Silver Bullet. Or if you're really interested, go to Africa. Next is Ultra Twister. This coaster was the first and only Togo pipeline coaster to ever come to the United States, as it originated in Japan. It first operated from 1986-89 in Six Flags Great Adventure. It was then taken to AW and opened in 1990 since it was a smaller park. This model made into the Tycoon games. In 2003-04 the coaster was given a much better green and blue paint job, replacing the bluish-white scheme. After the closure, it was relocated to Six Flags America, but it was reported to be damaged beyond repair by the time it got there. It remained in that field for many years before being put up for sale in 2010, then possibly scrapped. Once again, you can find a few coasters like this around the world, actually all of which are located in Japan. Next, Batman, The Escape. This Intamin stand-up coaster previously operated at both Magic Mountain and Great Adventure as Shockwave. In 1993, the coaster was painted plain white and opened. Batman Returns was the movie at the time. The antagonist of the ride was the villainous Penguin, who was pursuing guests through the queue, which featured Arctic Park and the Gotham City cold storage, where guests would escape on the trains. The park even used the abandoned mountain from the old Alpine sleigh ride and turned it into the Batcave, where gadgets can be found. In 2004, the coaster received a new yellow and black scheme to make sense. After the downfall, the coaster was moved to Six Flags Darien Lake, but the park was put for sale when the track got there. PH track was rusting away in the sun and scrapped in 2018. Only 3 of these kind were built. And with this and La Cobra from La Ronde dead, only Shockwave at England's Drayton's Manor is running. Next, Mayan Mindbender. This Junior Vekoma MK700 was an indoor coaster relocated from a defunct Spanish park called Babolo Island. Although not tall or fast, the experience was dark. Sound effects were temple music and hissing cats and snakes. The queue was an ancient Mayan temple. After closing, this ride was taken to Wonderland Park in Amarillo, Texas, where it is now operating as Hornet, but it's no longer indoor and it's its first time being outside. Next, the Texas Tornado, or in Looney Tunes way Taz's Texas Tornado. This steel Super Olympia looping coaster was originally opened in Germany as Thriller. It was taken to AW in 1998. The following year Taz wanted his name dropped from the coaster. In 2000, the frequent humid breakdown tackling problems caused the park to close it. The lift mechanism used tires, but it wasn't designed for the Texas heat. It was left SBNO in 2001, then dismantled. In 2003, the coaster reopened at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom as Zonga. This coaster was then relocated to Mexico's San Marcos National Fair, where it continues to operate under the name Tsunami. And last but not least, Serial Thriller. In 1999, this Vekoma SLC, or suspended looping coaster, took the spot where Excalibur once stood, and was the last coaster in the park. Although the SLCs are often criticized for their roughness, they're still a unique model. Coincidentally enough, there was another Serial Thriller at the now defunct Geauga Lake. When the park closed, this ride was initially put into storage at the Great Escape for 4 years. But it finally reopened at La Ronde in 2010 as Edner Lotic. As of now, Serial Thriller, Texas Tornado, and Mayan Mindbender are the only coasters from AstroWorld to stay reopened. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more, please don't forget to smack the hell out of that like button and subscribe. Peace out.
Can't you see the light in me? Can't you see the light I see? And every time we cross I feel the stabbing in my heart. Your love is razor sharp.